Okay, so once you've got your Geo Dome in its crate, you're going to unpack everything and you're going to start assembling your poles. So just get everything laid out. They're nicely labeled. So group all your poles together and then get your diagram that I'll send you. So each size Geo Dome's got a different diagram for the pole layout. So keep that handy and print out the written instructions as well, because there's some extra bits in there about the order of the poles. So make sure you're using the video plus the written instructions. And then just start assembling. It's pretty self-explanatory. It'll come together. It can be a bit confusing reading the diagram, but it'll make sense as you go up through the layers. And it helps if you've got a really strong helper like I do here. This can all just be finger tight, so don't worry about tightening everything up. You can do that at the end. Helps if you've got a rattle gun, or otherwise just a socket set. And then once your frame's up, you can put your cover on. So there's a few ways to do this. It's easier if you've got more people because they're pretty heavy. This is a 6 meter. So it's not overly bad, but like an 8 meter gets really heavy. But you can use, like we're doing here, you can use a rope and tie it to the cover and then just pull it over and make sure nothing's getting snagged along the way. So just take your time and don't do this on a windy day for obvious reasons. You can take a bit of time getting everything oriented. So you've got the door cut out already, and that's the only bit you need to get positioned and then get it all balanced and sitting nicely before you go tensioning it up. And then this is where you install the tension poles. So there's a sleeve all the way around the inside of the dome, and you just got to cut little slits here to slide the poles in. Just be careful doing this. You don't want to put a Stanley knife through your outer cover.
Okay. Good.
Slide your poles in. Make sure they're nice and central to that triangle. And then you're just going to install the J-hooks. The threaded J-hooks on either side with a nut. It's as simple as that. You're going to install these all the way around the dome. Just get them finger tight to start with, and then you can gradually start tightening them up and do it in an even fashion. So tighten one of them up a little bit, then go to the opposite end of the dome and do another one, and work your way around in a star pattern, just so that you're not over tensioning one side versus the other. You want these all to pull down nice and evenly. Once you've got them tensioned, then you can move to the door, and you just want to pull the cover tight across the door frame here, which I've done with a rope, and then you can fix it using the aluminium strips on either side and on the top of the door frame as well. Once you've fixed the cover in place with the strips, you can cut off the excess. And then you'll be ready to install your door frame. That should just pop in nice and easily, and then it's already got pre-drilled holes in it, and you're just going to fix the screws through, the self-tapping screws into the steel frame behind it. That's just putting the self-tapping screws in place. And then once you've done this part, you'll be ready to hang your door. All you're doing is dropping your door onto the hinges now and making sure it all works properly. And then you're just going to run a bead of silicone all the way around where the frame meets the cover, on both sides and on the top. Just get yourself some good clear roof and gutter silicone. And then you can go inside and start fitting your insulation. So with your insulation panels, you want to start at the very top. So start at the skylight area and then work your way around and down from there. You'll see the corresponding Velcro on each piece of insulation. It'll make sense once you get into it. And then you've got ribbons on the back of these insulation pieces which get tied to the poles, and it's important to do that, otherwise your insulation will sag in the middle. And then in the corners, you've got metal eyelets that are just popping over the bolts, and then a plastic nut to secure them. And same thing on these bottom edges. You want to tie those ribbons around the poles and get them nice and tight. Also, you can see the window positions and the solar fan position are already cut into your insulation. So once you've got that all done, then you can go about installing your solar fan. When you take it out of the box, just take apart the screws so that you can pull these rings separately. And then you're going to separate the parts of your fan. So you've got the interior ring and then the fan which goes on the outside of the dome. So here we're installing the interior part, and you'll see there's an extra pole there that's been installed on the frame. You can do that just before this step, and you'll see in a minute how that's attached to the frame. You'll see the extra pole in with your kit. So it's just using these flexible brackets with the rubber pieces on them. Really simple. And then just double check that you've got that in the right place with your insulation. Once it's good to go, now you can cut your hole through the cover, and just be careful, take your time, start small, cut a small hole and then work your way out. You see I've left a lip all the way around the edge here, and then I'm just cutting little notches with a Stanley knife. And then you'll be ready to install your fan on the outside. And that's how it secures. So you've got the screws securing the two parts together. And then this cover just clicks into place. And then you've just got the cord, which has your on and off switch. And so with this, you can just route it down through the frame and then pop it out further down somewhere where you can reach it, and it'll just tuck behind your insulation, and you just pop the switch out somewhere on the wall. And then really important, once you've done that, you want to get back outside and silicon all the way around
Okay, I'll be back in there
that
soon.
fan. Okay, so now you're going to take the 3 window poles. They're the short poles with the screws in the end. That's what your window is going to fix to. So just like we did with the fan, we want to separate the 2 pieces here. You've got the window, and then you've got the interior ring that sits on the inside. You're going to place that ring in line with your poles on the inside, and then cut your cover. And push your window through from the outside so that it looks like this. Everything's nice and snug, and then you can start installing your screws. So you're going to install these screws all the way around the frame, but the cover's really thick, so you've got to poke a hole through before you can get your screw or your bolt through. So use something like a nail to poke your holes around as you go. Then just work your way all the way around. Once you've got these in, you can tighten up the nuts on the back, on the inside. And then, just like you did with your front door and with your extractor fan, once you've got this nicely fixed in place, you're going to silicon all the way around the edge where the cover meets the frame. And then just repeat this process for your other windows. And that's it. If you've got any other questions during your install, don't hesitate to get in touch, and enjoy.